Welcome to the station crew. Enjoy your stay.
Alright, welcome back to another round of Space Station 14. This will be another round taking place on Wizard's Den's Lizard server. This time around, instead of being in engineering, we're over in science, because I had a phase where I wanted to test it out, because after playing a lot of Space Station 13 and loving the science over there, I wanted to test it out with why I didn't like science over in Space Station 14, and you'll see why in this very round. But that's neither here nor there. For our purposes, this round is going to be more about the story than the science. Though, to do a quick recap, I feel like I've talked about this before, but if I haven't, science over in Space Station 14 obviously has more going on. Depends on the server, though usually it either goes a bit like Space Station 14 system, where science does experiments for points, and then uses those points to get more items for people, or, for example, over on Goon Stations, you do science for science's sake. So you do artifact science to discover what artifacts do, and then you do with artifacts what you can. Or you have a teleportation science thing where the point is to figure out portals, and then you have portal technology, that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The real reason why I'm pretty sure I don't like science over in Space Station 14 is because there's just too many scientists for not enough scientisms. As we will not be doing any work, mostly, for the entire round. Anyway, as you can see here, we have both an anomaly and a artifact who makes anomalies. This one doesn't generate that many points, but low points is better than no points, so we're gonna keep it. At least that's what I think. So I head over and link it. Boop. I leave the anomaly scanner there. That way if it starts beeping and I'm not around to take care of it, somebody can just pick up the scanner, look at it, and figure it out. And also we'll take an ape to the anomaly. Anyway, as we're working on this here artifact, which has a bunch of gas requirements, so it's a low pressure, magnetism, oxygen environment, that kind of stuff. Yes, I'm gonna just go ahead and take a break, because that's way above my pay grade. You can see here somebody got affected by another anomaly somehow, even though at this point that means we would have had 3 or 4 anomalies generated. But it seems like we were letting an intern on it, so it's a good learning experience. Is they need a wrench? Thankfully science can make all this kind of tools, so I just give them my wrench and go and make another one for myself. And like this. We have a bunch of people asking for things. Here a cargo technician asks us about one of their friends. Who was infected by an anomaly, which we've seen down there in the department. So I'll go and check up on them and see how it's going. And the answer is, it's a learning experience. It's a process. Anyway, lots of people moving around the science department doing things. I try and focus on what we want. Seems like they're going to be keeping the anomaly since they've linked it to a vessel. So I head back and say that they should be leaving soon, as soon as the anomaly is stabilized. So tell them that they don't have to worry. And they say thank you for your help. Anyway, a bit later, after managing more front desk stuff, we said that the robot here has given to us research point disks. So we inserted into our research servers. So now this is going to be used for research purposes. When I see that, and I can hear some weird noises, and I can see that this person here has had their anomaly become critical. And because I see the clown taking the anomaly core, I think that that's what they're the one who either they did it or the intern critically exploded the anomaly. However, thankfully, because we're already in science, we can just put this brain here inside of a robot body. So I make sure to put them inside there. And because it didn't take too long, they shouldn't have had time to pick up a ghost roll or anything. They ask if they died. So the technical term is energy overload, not death, caused by our intern. Which I just put the blame on somebody. Anyway, so here's the deal. Putting your brain in a robot body. I was gonna say so you can't sue us, but actually, it'd be more sufficient if I said if you can't, so you may sue us. But you shouldn't. They think it's an upgrade, which is a good perspective. So we take some time. First, we can see that they don't have any power cells. So that's the first thing we need to add. Second, we have to choose a correct name. I think that's what we do second. Oh yeah, check if they have the bug. Sometimes when you get put inside of a robot body, you have a bug where you just can't see for some reason. To fix it, you have to disconnect and reconnect. But they seem to be fine. Next, check the name. Do they want a news name or not? Next on the list, do you want a name change? Or do you like junk? Which is just a randomly generated name. So they say sure. I'm about to ask what name they want. You mean anything, but you don't mind junk. And I have an idea for a name. It will be Science Murdered Me. Well, I can see their own name. Anyway, last check is to make sure that they understand the condition of being a robot. Oh yeah, I talked to them about being in a Borg chassis. It's a bit obscure if you don't know about it. It's an option in your top left HUD. They asked which one would help cargo the most. I say I'm thinking to do bounties because I saw that the person who was looking after them wanted to do bounties. Anyway, we just ignore all the chaos going on around us. Doesn't really matter. Stay focused on the one thing we have. This Borg. I say the service Borg because they can do the bounties for all the service departments, so... botany, the chef, cooking, I think, the barkeep. Because the salvage Borg is not exactly cargo, though it would have cargo communications, but whatever. Anyway, let these guys out while we continue our conversation. They said let their friend figure it out. And they asked if they're still waiting for you, and I the last time I saw, they left. So they probably left back to cargo. Anyway, remember the last thing we have to check, which is Borg laws. Which is very important, as those are part of the server rules. So I asked to make sure that they know about their laws. Let's say once again at the top left of the corner, you have your laws. Now they do get the gist of it, but they have the special function to verbatim say the laws.
Meteors have been detected on collision course with the station.
So they got it. Last thing we have to check is if they understand the definition of a crew and a non-crew. So I said that right now I'm crew because they can see my ID. I hide my ID. Now I'm non-crew. Anyway, that's about all the basics they need to know about. Let them, they're free to go. Well, they say, oh, went to the lobby, but as a robot, now they have all access. So they can just go to cargo, something they couldn't do before, I think. Anyway, they head out. Our good deed of the day done, and that's pretty much all the work I'll be doing around science. Basically. And the dog wants out. Give me a moment. Anyway, we head back to the front desk, I think. Because I'm definitely not doing any real work, any real science work. In fact, as I've seen, it seems like the only science work I did do was link that one anomaly to the vessel, and it looks like it's gonna be stable and producing points for the entire shift, so I did my part. Anyway, as we're at the front desk, Oh yeah.
Attention.
Due to a random event, I become a syndicate agent. At the same time, we just get informed that there's a nuclear operatives team on station. Honestly, I'm literally going to forget that I'm a syndicate agent until right at evac. Like 30 seconds before evac. I have a tech bounty disc, but thankfully I didn't spend all of our points on research yet, so we can spare the 5 tech disc, and that's a big influx of money right as there's nuclear operatives. So we pass him over. I should be able to use that money for good, hopefully. In the meanwhile, I research all the way up to X-ray cannons, which is a good weapon to use. Now they have questions about what happened to their friend, and as I've said, they had an energy overload caused by an intern, and all their body, skin, and bones disintegrated. But we did save the brain. Also, I have some mail in the mail slot. So now they're a robot. They ask if they can get a new body, which technically the answer is yes, but in reality no. Because we don't have cloning, so that would be the only, I think, other method we would have. Anyway, they accept it, I guess, which is good for us. So we go back to organizing the defense against nuclear operatives, because no matter what, whether I'm a syndicate agent or not, I probably don't want to die. Though I don't know, because I literally haven't seen my objectives, so maybe I do want to die, don't know. So the plan is, I'm gonna get all the gold and silver, and the silo of all the science materials. I'm gonna get them all to security, next to their security fabricator, so we can build a bunch of advanced science weapons. Anyway. We got X-ray cannons, which are, you know, they're good. They're not the best, but they'll do. Especially because we have plenty of materials for them. So I pick up all the gold and silver. And I also pick up the silo. Taking the silo to security. Excuse me, the security fabricator. So now we head over there. I ask where the SecFab is. They're on this map, on Marathon, I think that's the name of the station. There's 2 security fabricator, one accessible to security officers over in their break room, and one in the armory. But thankfully the one in the armory hasn't been moved. I can see plenty of scattered materials around. And also I can see that there's still a bunch of guns, lasers, a rifle, a shotgun still left in the armory, and handguns and disablers. And a spacesuit. There's plenty left. So we get the security fabricator next to the silo. It looks like somebody put a bunch of steel in there, while we brought the glass and plastic, and the gold and silver. So we can pump out a bunch of X-ray cannons until we run out of glass, I think. So there's still steel for ammo. I think that's like 10 guns. Anyway, that's what this thing is. And technically it's a cancer laser. It's like a laser, except it gives you radiation damage, and it's slightly stronger, I think, than a regular laser rifle. And radiation damage is gonna be harder to heal than like bullet damage, because it takes specialty chemicals and medicine for that. So I get two because they're hard to reload. And they ask why. That's because that's the best we have. That's the best we're gonna get, since all research seems to have stopped. Now it looks like all the guns in the armory have been taken. And we get an engineer who tells us that they've been at the bridge not too long ago. So we head over there. To the bridge. With our laser guns. Now there's no air on that side, which is bad, since we don't have spacesuits. Apparently new keys have been spotted at medical. Because we're thirsty, it looks like we don't slip on surfaces because we're too slow. Also, looks like a bunch of weapons were brought to medical. I see some rifle crates. But we do have lasers that are hard to heal, which looks like it made the nuclear operative think twice about attacking us. I think. Anyway, this place is still spaced, so we can't get in there. And also, we're still thirsty, so I want to take a drink. So we have some coffee during the battle. And something blows up. Not exactly sure what. But probably some chemical stuff. Also, it breaches atmosphere, so now we're spaced. So we hide over in this not spaced place in security. And we make it to evacuation, which is 3 minutes later. And as I get this body into medical, I just now remember that I'm a syndicate agent. So I check my objectives. We have to prevent one chef from reaching Central Command and get Ian's meat. And so far, the chef hasn't made it onto the shuttle. So I head out, try and find where they are. I head into the kitchen. However, I'm still injured from the chemist spacing the place. And this, for some reason, this place is also spaced. So I hide over in some dark maintenance corridor. And trying to get in my uplink. I don't want to put on a very super obvious evil suit just yet. Especially because since there's nuclear operatives, everybody's been armed with cancer lasers that I've given them. So I'm trying to find a place that hasn't been spaced. I'm kind of panicking. Thinking maybe this back room will do the trick, but it's taking too long, and I'm dying actively. So, I get a suit on. So now we're no longer taking spacing damage, but we are still taking air damage, and now we're good. So I make inventory of what we have. We have a cancer gun, which should be enough to kill a chef if they aren't armed like we are. So I don't have to buy a weapon. However, to get to Ian, we do need some kind of cutting implement. As we head over to Botany, we can see a bunch of kudzu growing. And I see that the chef is inside the kitchen. Looks like they're a new player trying to figure out how cooking works. Thankfully, they're gonna miss the evacuation shuttle, which means that I don't have to murderize them. So I tell them, you got lucky, the Syndicate wanted you to miss the shuttle, and you missed it. So, yeah, it's all good. And you did, so carry on. Anyway, I'm thinking of what can I use to cut open the dog that we're gonna murderize. And I think of a novel-ish idea. First, I pick up a glass shard in case, if worse comes to worse, we can get inside the head of personnel's office and use some cloth to make a shiv. But that would take some time, which we may not have. Instead, I buy some throwing knives, which I'm hoping will be enough. We'll be able to cut open animal carcasses. And also I blow my way inside the head of personnel's office because that's the fastest way. And we use our laser gun on the dog. As you see, it did take like 5 shots to go down. So I pick up some throwing knives and start throwing them. And it does work. We can butcher animals with throwing knives. So that's all of our objectives completed. Dog Pockets gets its due. Dog Burger or dog Pockets. Anyway, so now I gotta figure out what else to do. And I'm thinking, well, we have a laser gun. I'm checking my discounts, nothing interests me, so I'm gonna go with a blood red EVA hard suit. Since everything is spaced, might as well. And with my last 4 telecrystals, I think I buy a handgun and some ammo. The Viper, which is insanely good for its price, is a fully automatic gun with perfect accuracy. And some ammo. Ooh, and I forget my laser. Look at that. I forget my laser inside the charger. Anyway, the round is over. It was fun. Though it did make me remember why I don't like science over on Space Station 14. Mainly because there's just too many scientists. As you can see, all I did this shift for science was, for science's, benefit, was linked at one anomaly. Somebody else was working artifacts, so we didn't have any space. I did borg that one person. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. What was here was fun. Okay, bye, okay, bye, okay, bye.